I'm Tony Dokoupil at Reagan National Airport, scene of that deadly collision last night in the air over the Potomac, a tragedy. Now in the waters of the Potomac, they say it's moved from a rescue to a recovery operation. And we just had an update. I'm standing here with Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, who was part of that briefing to the press. Senator, thank you very much for joining us. What stood out to you? What do you think people need to know at this hour, first light here in Virginia?
Well, sort of my three messages were first, just deep sorrow, the passengers, the crew, and these three soldiers. Their loved ones, their friends, people who are still trying to get information, our condolences to them. Many will be from Virginia, from the D.C. area, obviously. Second, praise for the first responders who have worked state, federal, local, D.C., Maryland, Virginia. It's a coordinated effort, and to do a search and rescue and now recovery operation in the Potomac overnight, cold water, ice on the water, very, very difficult and challenging. So we praise those efforts. There's a lot of questions. Obviously, most have seen video footage. You can't tell a lot from video footage taken at night, but that footage raises a lot of questions about how this happened. As the Secretary of Transportation mentioned, military flights and commercial flights are pretty common in this area. It's a very congested airport. So what was the breakdown? The National Transportation Safety Board is on the scene. Already visited with the chairman of the board this morning, who was here. They will do a press briefing later today, and they'll start to, they control the investigation. They'll start to provide answers.
Well, you mentioned a lot of questions, and it's very early. The black box has been recovered. That'll tell us things. But you mentioned the congestion here. That's a point you've brought up before as a member of Congress. This is an airport designed to handle 15 million passengers a year. I think 25 million are now passing through it. Is the congestion going to be an area of probe for you in Congress?
I'm sure the NTSB will look at that. It is a concern that I have raised for years because, again, this is an airport that has a modest footprint. With a huge number of passengers in and out, and it's had a great safety track record. But I have been concerned, but again, not a good time to speculate. The right thing is I do have confidence in the NTSB. They'll get the answers that we need.
Air traffic controllers were attempting to make contact with the helicopter, let it know that the commercial airliner was coming in and they would need to avoid it. There was some garble in that exchange. It raises a larger question of whether or not we have enough air traffic controllers if that crucial connection from the ground to the air is going to be there for all these passengers taking off today.
One of the key aspects of the FAA reauthorization bill that Congress did last spring was to increase the number of air traffic controllers because we were concerned that as a nation we didn't have enough. Again, I don't know whether that played any part here. You did hear communication that has now been made public between the tower and the helo, where the helo acknowledges the presence of the plane. But beyond that, we just can't say anything right now.
You know, there's all this technical stuff and these questions about what happened. There's also so much of emotion in this. There's the human side of this. The first thing I thought is the people who were here at Reagan Airport, your constituents, they were moments away from what they thought was going to be a reunion with loved ones. Have you been able to meet with any of those families yet? What have they told you? How are they doing?
Not yet, but I asked the president of American Airlines this morning, as soon as you have information, I want to know, who were the Virginians, who were the D.C. area residents who were affected. The soldiers were out of Fort Belvoir, which is just 20 miles south of here in Virginia. There's a significant chance they were from Virginia, and we want to know so that we can start doing those contacts. But as I stand here right now, I do not know. I also feel for Wichita. I grew up in Kansas. My grandmother's from 15 miles away from Wichita. I know the senators Jerry Moran and Roger Marshall were here last night because many of those folks were coming in from Wichita, likely Kansans. I think everybody's hearts go out to this community of people who are affected.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the Kansas area as well, all those people who put their loved ones on a flight. People fly for an opportunity, for adventure, for a break, for business. It matters. And now they're not coming home, it would appear. There's a lot of work to recover these bodies, and yet we still have people coming into the airport, a promise that the airport's going to reopen at 11 a.m. Yes. even as this recovery effort is still underway, what's your message to the people with wheelie bags thinking they're going to go about business as usual this morning? It's a difficult thing to do.
It is. Jack Potter and the team that runs this airport, and this airport is run sort of in tandem with Dulles. They're pros. They wouldn't open if it wasn't safe. They decided they thought they could open at 11 o'clock today, but I was there in the discussions they were having with the NTSB and with the Secretary of Transportation. Here's our plan. Here's what we want to do. But if that's the wrong plan, tell us it's the wrong plan and we'll change it. There was a discussion this morning around 6:30 where everybody agreed 11 a.m. opening was the right thing to do and wouldn't be open if it wasn't safe.
Yeah. Have you been coordinating at this hour as we turn back to the questions of how this could have happened? Because certainly one of the emotions from families is going to be, what happened? Could this have been prevented? Yeah. Have you heard from the Army side of this? It's something we haven't gotten the same information from.
I have not had that direct contact yet, and I hope to, because obviously they lost 3 soldiers, and they need to do training missions to make sure that people stay current on their flight hours. So this is something that a training mission isn't a minor thing. It's an important thing to keep people current. So there's going to be answers and on that side too. I have not had that conversation yet. I'm likely to today when I get back to the Hill.
Senator Kaine, thank you very much. Our hearts go out to your constituents in Virginia, the entire D.C. area, everybody in the Kansas area as well.